The Chevrolet Astro could tow 6,000 pounds and conquer snowbelt winters with all-wheel drive. Families, contractors, adventurers, they swore by it. Then in 1996, one crash test at 40 miles per hour collapsed the footwell by 15 inches, and it drove the steering column toward the driver's chest. The scandal that followed marked the end of the boxy minivan design. This is the rise and fall of the Chevy Astro. In 1985, General Motors faced a crossroads. Chrysler's new minivans were flying out of showrooms, built on car-based platforms that promised smooth rides and easy handling. General Motors' answer was different. Instead of starting from scratch, executives leaned on the company's strongest asset, its truck division. Internal strategy papers from that era show how the decision was shaped by numbers, not nostalgia. Trucks were General Motors' cash cow, generating the highest profit per vehicle. The board saw an opportunity to protect that margin by creating a new van that was not really a minivan at all. Engineers took the ladder frame from the full-size CK trucks and shortened it, crafting a rigid backbone that could handle abuse. The Astro's body-on-frame construction, with a front subframe bolted underneath, set it apart from the softer unibody competition. Marketing teams seized on the van's unique DNA, branding it the midi-van, not quite a full-size workhorse, but far tougher than the family wagons it aimed to replace. Brochures from 1985 boasted about garage-fit dimensions and rugged underpinnings, promising buyers a van that could do it all. The message was clear. This was a minivan for people who did not want a minivan. For small business owners, contractors, and families who needed more than just seats and sliding doors, the Astro offered something no rival could match. The very traits that made it a standout, its strength, its truck roots, its ability to carry and tow, would also shape the challenges it faced in the years ahead. On paper, the Astro looked like a minivan, but under the skin, it was pure truck. The 4.3-liter V6 under the hood wasn't just any engine. It was a Chevy small block V8 with 2 cylinders lopped off, producing a level of torque that most family vans could only dream about. Towing brochures from the early 1990s bragged about a tow rating of 5,500 to 6,000 pounds, a figure that put the Astro in a class of its own. Families found their own reasons to swear by the Astro. The van's body-on-frame chassis, inherited from General Motors' truck line, made it sturdy enough for cross-country road trips, family moves, and the occasional camping adventure. Parents who didn't want to give up real hauling power for sliding doors and cup holders found the Astro to be a rare compromise. It was the only minivan that could handle the family boat on weekends and still fit inside a suburban garage. In 1990, General Motors added another arrow to its quiver: all-wheel drive. The AWD Astro and its twin, the GMC Safari, quickly became favorites in regions where winter was more than just a season, it was a way of life. In places like Michigan, Vermont, and Colorado, owners praised the van's ability to claw through snowdrifts and climb steep gravel driveways where front-wheel drive rivals spun helplessly. One Michigan owner recalled loading up 6 kids, 2 dogs, and a pop-up camper for ski trips, never once getting stuck or turned around by the weather. The Astro's appeal was never about luxury or cutting-edge design. It was about doing jobs that other minivans simply couldn't. In garages, on job sites, and in snowbound driveways, it earned a reputation as the van for people who needed more than just a ride. That reputation set the stage for the heartbreak that would follow when its toughest qualities were put to the ultimate test. At the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's Virginia lab in 1996, a Chevrolet Astro was rolled toward a fixed barrier at 40 miles per hour. The test was no ordinary head-on collision. This was a moderate overlap crash, designed to mimic the way real-world accidents often strike just off-center. High-speed cameras captured every millisecond as the van's front corner absorbed the brunt of the impact. What happened next would haunt the Astro's reputation for years. The front subframe, A key element of the Astro's body-on-frame construction failed to contain the force. In the first split second, the steel rails beneath the floor buckled, sending the footwell and floor pans surging backwards. The driver's side footwell retreated by nearly 15 inches, enough to erase the space where a person's legs would be. The steering column, meant to collapse away from the driver, instead lurched forward almost 7 inches, then rotated downward as its mounting brackets tore free. The driver's seat pitched, the dummy's knees jammed against twisted metal, and the A-pillar crumpled, fracturing the cabin's protective shell. The IIHS test report listed head acceleration at over 100 Gs and chest acceleration at 85 Gs, with neck forces and femur loads far exceeding accepted safety limits. The result was a poor rating, the lowest possible. For families and business owners who had trusted the Astro's toughness, the sight of the van's cabin folding in on itself was a shock. Overnight, the Astro's image shifted from workhorse to warning. The scandal wasn't just about numbers, it was about the sudden, visible loss of trust in a vehicle once considered unbreakable. Consumer advocates and morning news anchors replayed the footage. The poor rating stuck to the Astro's name like glue. Behind the scenes, General Motors engineers faced a problem that ran deeper than public relations. The Astro's body-on-frame chassis, with its separate front subframe and the old-school doghouse engine cover, left little room for structural upgrades. Fixing the crash performance would have meant tearing up the floor, redesigning the firewall, and adding new bracing throughout the cabin. Internal estimates pegged the cost of a full re-engineering at well over $1 billion, money General Motors was not willing to spend on a vehicle whose best days were now behind it. Meanwhile, the market was changing fast. By the early 2000s, buyers expected flat floors, sliding doors on both sides, and seats that disappeared with a pull of a lever. The Astro's interior, still shaped around that big engine cover, felt cramped and dated. Fuel economy lagged at 14 to 17 miles per gallon, a glaring weakness as gas prices climbed and competitors delivered 20-plus miles per gallon. New safety rules set for 2005 demanded tougher side impact protection and stronger roofs, requirements the Astro simply could not meet without a total overhaul. On May 13, 2005, the last Astro rolled off the Baltimore line. General Motors made no grand announcement, just a quiet end for a van that had once promised to do it all. The Astro's blend of work truck muscle and family hauler utility had kept it alive for 2 decades, but in the end, the cost of catching up to modern standards proved too steep. The perception battle was over, and the Astro's story faded into memory, leaving behind a loyal following and a cautionary tale about the price of standing still. Today, utility and nostalgia keep Astros on the road, even as modern vans prioritize crashworthiness above all. The 1996 test drew a line. Strength without safety is no longer enough. Every family hauler now faces that standard, a legacy written in steel, survival space, and the stories we choose to remember.